They say when you check into the Crescent Hotel, you never really check out. Built back in 1886, it was designed as a luxurious escape for America's elite. But behind those grand stone walls lies a chilling history of death, deceit, and souls that just can't seem to find peace. Visitors today claim to see glowing figures drifting through the hallways, hear blood-curdling screams echoing from the basement, and smell the phantom scent of hospital ether in empty rooms. And the creepiest part? Most of these hauntings trace back to one man, a fraud who called himself a doctor. He promised desperate people a cure for cancer. But instead, he turned this magnificent hotel into a house of unimaginable horrors. So stay with me, because what you're about to hear isn't just some campfire ghost story. This all really happened. The Crescent Hotel was constructed in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, in 1886. At the time, the town was a bustling hub, famous for its so-called healing springs. Wealthy guests from all across the country flocked here, believing the water could cure their pain, their illnesses, maybe even death itself. But that dream of a perfect sanctuary was short-lived. The hotel's construction was rushed, safety was an afterthought, and fatal accidents became part of its foundation. Some workers didn't make it out alive. One of them was a young Irish stonemason named Michael. He tragically fell to his death near what is now room 218. To this day, guests who stay in that room report terrifying experiences, lights flickering on and off, doors slamming shut on their own, and some even report the chilling sensation of being shoved by unseen hands. And that was just the beginning of the darkness that would consume this place. The hotel struggled to stay open, changing hands several times over the decades. Then, in the 1930s, it fell into the possession of a man named Norman Baker. He wasn't a doctor. He was a charlatan, a con artist with a flair for showmanship. He purchased the Crescent and transformed it into the Baker Cancer Hospital, promising desperate patients miraculous cures without the need for surgery, radiation, or conventional medicine. People, clinging to any sliver of hope, came from far and wide. But what Baker actually did inside those walls was monstrous. He concocted strange serums made from a grotesque mix of corn oil, watermelon seed, and carbolic acid, a toxic compound. He would inject his patients with this dangerous brew, then stage photos of them smiling, proclaiming they were healed. He'd send these fabricated images to newspapers to lure in more victims. But inside the hospital, the reality was a nightmare. Patients weren't being cured, they were being tortured. They screamed in agony as his treatments ravaged their bodies. Many never left alive. So, what happened to the bodies? The truth is even more disturbing. Decades later, during renovations, investigators unearthed a network of hidden tunnels and a secret morgue beneath the hotel. It was a macabre discovery. They found hundreds of jars filled with human tissue samples, bones, and even preserved organs, forgotten and hidden away. This wasn't a hospital. It was a death factory, run by a man who profited from false hope and human suffering. It's no surprise that today, guests and staff believe the spirits of Baker's victims never left. Many describe seeing a woman in a white uniform walking through the moonlit garden, thought to be the ghost of a nurse who was complicit in Baker-ass cruel experiments. Others hear the ghostly rattle of gurneys rolling down empty hallways late at night, or catch fleeting glimpses of dark shadows on the grand stairwell that vanish the moment you turn to look directly at them. These are the echoes of the pain that soaked into the very walls of this building. And then there's room 218, the room where Michael the stonemason met his tragic end. It remains the hotel's most active paranormal hotspot. Guests who dare to stay there report sudden, inexplicable cold drafts, a violent pounding coming from inside the walls, and even disembodied voices whispering their names in the dead of night. It's a room where you are never truly alone. Down in the basement, in the space that once served as Norman Baker's morgue, the activity is just as intense. Ghost hunters and paranormal investigators have recorded clear audio of disembodied screams and captured dramatic spikes on their electromagnetic field meters. One seasoned investigator described the feeling down there perfectly. It feels like someone is standing right behind you, so close you can feel their breath on your neck. The air is thick with dread, a remnant of the terror that once filled that cold, dark room. Today, the Crescent Hotel is open for guests again, and it doesn't shy away from its past. In fact, it proudly embraces the title of America's Most Haunted Hotel. Its chilling reputation has earned it features on major paranormal shows like Ghost Hunters, Paranormal Witness, and Destination Fear, drawing brave souls from all over the world. The reports of eerie activity have never stopped. Employees and guests alike continue to share their terrifying encounters. The ghost of Michael the stonemason is still seen near room 218, a tragic figure forever tied to his place of death. A spectral nurse is frequently spotted pushing an invisible gurney down the third-floor hallway, always around 3 a.m. And in the grand lobby mirror, people swear they've seen reflections of figures that don't belong to anyone in the room. Ghostly faces staring back from another time. Perhaps the most chilling sighting of all is that of Norman Baker himself. One staff member swore she saw a man in a distinctive purple suit and white hat walking toward her down a long corridor. As he got closer, he reached out his hand toward her, and then vanished into thin air. Her description perfectly matched photographs of the so-called doctor who caused so much suffering. It seems even in death, his malevolent presence refuses to leave. The Crescent Hotel now exists in a strange duality. It is both a luxurious historic resort and a world-famous paranormal attraction. People come from every corner of the globe, not for the healing waters of the past, but for the haunting spirits of the present. Some guests stay for a night and leave with nothing more than a good night's sleep. Others leave with a story that will haunt them for the rest of their lives. So if you ever find yourself in the beautiful Ozark Mountains of Arkansas, and you feel brave enough to book a room, perhaps even the infamous room 218, just remember what they say. You might not be the only guest in your room. Because at the Crescent Hotel, some guests checked in, but never truly checked out. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into the dark history of one of America's most haunted places, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. Let me know in the comments if you'd be brave enough to spend a night at the Crescent. Until next time, stay curious.